Good evening, parents. So I am, as you can tell, not here tonight, which is why I'm recording this video for you and letting you kind of see what I would have presented if I had been there. Um, I am currently in Plainfield helping coach the junior high volleyball team for a game tonight. So unfortunately, Tina Murley and I couldn't be there tonight for parent night. But I am going to go ahead and essentially go through the presentation that I would have had with you guys anyway had I been present for this evening. So my name is Mrs. Owens. This is my classroom. I know you guys won't be able to come in here and actually see it during this time period, but if you have a student in any of my English 9 or Honors English 9 classes, this is where they would be, inside the classroom where you are currently now standing next to. The first thing I would ask is that you please sign in on the classroom roster at the table where you're currently standing and grab one of those questionnaires that you can see. I would love if you could fill that out for me because I know I've been with your kids now for a little over 2 weeks. I'm pushing 3 weeks now. But I'm sure there are many things that you know much better about them than I do, and they're not always the most honest. So getting that information from you about them could be very helpful, which I appreciate. Okay, so moving on. This is my 10th year teaching. It's my 6th at Speedway High School. Before this, I was at Roncalli High School on the southeast side, but that was quite a while ago now. I'm teaching English 9. I'm also teaching Honors English 9. I do a lot of different club things at the school. I do book club, which your students may or may not have told you already. I help with tabletop gaming and Dungeons and Dragons Club. I also help with student council. So I've got my hands in all kinds of different things. But I grew up and I still live in Speedway. I graduated from here in 2011, and then after that I went to IUPUI, from which I graduated in 2015 with a bachelor's in secondary English education. So, general expectations, things that I want from your students when they're coming to my class. I know that nobody is perfect. I work with a wide range of students in my classroom. The only thing that I tell them at the beginning of the year is that I want them to come to class and give me the best that they can every single day, and to be kind. If they're willing to come to class and work hard and be kind to their fellow students, there's really not much that we can't accomplish this year, which I'm kind of excited to do and see how we grow. This class has a lot of potential, and I'm excited to see what they can do with it here in the remaining months left in the school year. I am also working with the freshmen, so right now the big thing is making sure you come to class with all your required materials. We're kind of struggling with that a little bit. Some of us are still having to run to the lockers quite frequently to go ahead and get the things that we need to bring back that we need for class. I try to make that as clear to them on the board and over on one of the walls in my classroom that even has images of the stuff that they need in class, but sometimes they still tend to forget, and we gotta work on that a little bit. So what are your students going to be learning in my class this year? In English 9, we start with our short story unit, which is what we're in right now. The students have already read a Langston Hughes short story called Early Autumn. We're going to be starting The Most Dangerous Game here soon, which some of you might remember from reading it in high school. But there's a whole bunch of things that we read during the short story unit to kind of build up those analysis skills that we'll be using throughout the rest of the year. Then we move on to a fiction unit. I am going to give the students a bit of a choice this year. We are going to be reading A Long Way Down, which is a narrative written in the form of short poems. It's the first year I'm doing it, so I'm excited to see what the students think about it, but I know from other schools that have read it that they generally really like this text and the students tend to get into it. We are then going to have some choices between To Kill a Mockingbird and The Hate You Give. Last year they read To Kill a Mockingbird. That tends to be this one that the students pick, which kind of surprises me, but they do end up enjoying that one. In quarter 3, we would be doing Romeo and Juliet, which every time I say that to the students, I get all the groans and the, oh, love story. But as they get into that, they kind of realize that Romeo and Juliet is not really much of a love story. It's in fact typically about the stupidity and the mistakes that teenagers make in love, that maybe they weren't actually experiencing love, but lust or something else, and that there's really a lot of fighting and silly jokes and stuff in Romeo and Juliet, which is not really quite as serious as you would think. And then the nonfiction unit, I have scheduled Fast Food Nation, which we've done for the last few years, and it teaches them about the food system in the United States, but I'm thinking about maybe changing that one. We'll see as we get closer what the students' needs are, and maybe what their interests are, and we might end up changing that one as we get further in the year. For writing, we do a lot of focused race paragraph writing. You might remember that term from some of the junior high writing that they've done, but race responses essentially just ask the students to provide very clear evidence and explain how that evidence proves the answers that they're giving, which is, of course, a key skill, especially as they start getting into some of the higher level courses where it's just an expectation that they can do that all the time really well. So we really hammer that one in a lot freshman year. We're also doing some narrative. We do some research and argumentation writing this year, but that's kind of like the big major things, along with other smaller stuff that we do. In Honors English 9, we are also starting with a short story unit. We just read Old Man at the Bridge, which is an Ernest Hemingway short story. And we are currently reading The Veldt, which is a Ray Bradbury short story that is a little bit sci-fi. There's a twist at the end. We haven't gotten there yet, so I'm not going to reveal it, but the kids generally really enjoy this one and find it kind of interesting and entertaining. For our fiction unit that we do, the big fiction unit, I give my pre-AP or my honor students a choice. So they're going to have the option. We'll do a book tasting, and they'll get to decide if they want to do a Sherlock Holmes novel, which is The Hound of the Baskervilles. They could do a dystopian fiction literature circle unit where they can choose between, like, I think 5 or 6 different dystopian fiction books, and then we read those. They could do The Crucible, which is a play about the Salem witch trials, which my students did last year and they actually really enjoyed. Or I'm going to put as an option this year The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which is another novel, but it's more like YA focused and is very like high interest. Drama, we also do Romeo and Juliet. I'm thinking about possibly pivoting to another Shakespeare play this year, one of his comedies, Much Ado About Nothing, with my honor students. We'll see if that ends up happening. And then our nonfiction unit later on in the year, we do a memoir unit with Trevor Noah's Born a Crime. And the students get to choose another separate memoir that they will read in literature circles. The students generally really like Trevor Noah's Born a Crime because it's funny. He's a comedian from South Africa, and he's pretty good about telling stories from his life. The writing stuff, we do similar things, but also more and more in depth than the regular classes. We do focused race paragraph writing. But aside from that, we do more research and argumentation. We do some personal narrative. We do more creative writing. We generally hit writing a little bit harder in the honors English classes to get them ready for the rigor of the AP classes that they will take later on. All right, so if you want to find out about your child's performance, there is an option on the questionnaire where you can put your email in, and I will add you as an observer on your child's Google Classroom page, which means not that you'll see grades because I don't post grades on Google Classroom, but you will be able to see their assignments and whether or not they're submitting them. You can also regularly check PowerSchool to see what assignments they have, what they're missing, what their grades are, all that stuff. And if you have any questions, you can always email or call me. I will also be emailing and calling about anything that's like exceptionally poor or just exceptionally well done behavior from students. I try to contact home about either of the extremes if those are concerning or just very positive, and I'd like to contact home about those things. All right, other ways you can contact me, my email is right there on the screen right now. My work phone is right there in the center. That goes to my cell phone, but it's a separate number, so it's not like my personal number, but you can contact me via that phone. I would prefer that over my school phone, although you can contact me on my school line. Office hours, generally, I can meet before school from about 7, 10 to 8 o'clock, or the only day of the week where I don't have an after-school duty or club is going to be Fridays starting in October. So if you need to meet me after school, I would say Fridays starting in October until about 4:30. But anyway, as long as you contact me by appointment, that'd be great. We could meet, we could talk if any of that is necessary. I know I can't be there today to talk to you, which is unfortunate. But if you needed to meet me at any other point, any of those days would work. All right, folks, that's about all I got for you. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email or shoot me a phone call or a text or whatever at the number on the screen. And yeah, I look forward to teaching your students this year. Please try to leave that questionnaire that you're filling out somewhere on that table. I will have like a manila folder that you can submit it in right there, or you can just send it to me via your student and they can bring it to me and I can check out everything that you wrote. All right, guys, that's all I got. Thanks for coming tonight. Hope all the rest of your back to school night goes well.